Good evening. My journey to and through Gordon-Conwell is no more sacrificial or significant than any of the other graduates, so I am humbled and thankful to be able to share it with you. The first catalyst the Lord used to begin my journey to Gordon-Conwell was hearing the life story of a young lady who had been sexually abused as a child. She was used by her mother as a tool to procure drugs. As she described the life of addiction and prostitution that came as a result of it, there was not a dry eye in the room. I remembered saying to God, I know you want me to do more than sit here and cry. What do you want me to do with this? I heard a still, quiet voice say, I want you to work with women in crisis. That was 5 years ago. For almost a year after that, I pondered what it meant and tried to find ways to do it. The second catalyst came when about a year later, my husband came home and announced that he felt called to leave his corporate job and attend seminary. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I kind of became that woman in crisis at that point. You see, this was not news I wanted to hear. I was happy with my comfortable life. We had moved here to North Carolina to build our dream home, and he had talked about me traveling with him for as long as I can remember on business trips. We had just finished putting our last daughter, Denise, through college, and we were looking forward to being empty nesters, meaning traveling and enjoying life, not meaning writing so many papers and reading more books than we had read in the past 34 years. But when Darrell also informed me that he thought the Lord was calling me to seminary, now that truly unnerved me. Over the years, I'd heard others say that Darrell should go, but no one had said that to me before. So being the great salesperson he is, Darrell painted this glorious picture, mind you, minus all the hard work, of seminary being part of that empty nesting plan when we would be spending time together. I didn't know we'd be reading and writing papers, during our empty nesting period. So, although I was hesitant at first, over time I came to see it as the answer to that quiet, whispered voice of God telling me he wanted me to work with women in crisis. There was no way I could have imagined the amount of work it would require both academically and emotionally. I was very thankful for the 6 months of personal counseling we're required to do as part of the counseling program. I needed every moment of it to just adjust to this new place in my life. During these past 4 arduous years, God has shown himself to me in ways I never would have imagined. I'm a more diverse person and open-minded than I was before I started this program, and for that I'm so grateful. I'm particularly thankful for the counseling professors who showed me what grace looks like. They challenged me to look at things in a less perfectionistic and rigid fashion. I'm also thankful for the theology and biblical professors who opened my narrow view of who God is and how he reveals himself. God has taught me through this process that he's present in my struggles. I learned that he is much bigger, more faithful, and more forgiving than I ever knew. I'm learning to trust him in a way that I never had to in prior life situations. And probably the biggest thing for me is that God has shown me how much he loves me, and I needed that badly. God provided every need Darrell and I had to get through these 2 seminary degrees. I often tell Darrell that we are Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers in this seminary dance, except he's the one who danced backwards with heels on. Not only did he complete his classwork before me, he worked a full-time job as a pastor and took on a consulting job that required that he use his vacation time. And he did this with his usual servant leader attitude while encouraging me. I'm thankful for him in so many ways. So where do I go from here? I plan to pursue God's call to work with women in crisis, specializing in sexual addiction recovery. In closing, Gordon-Conwell has been a place of painful growth and a place of refuge for me. Friday night chapel service soothed my nerves and solidified my resolve that I was where I was supposed to be. I will forever treasure the relationships and the experience that I had there at Gordon-Conwell. Coming to class on Friday nights and Saturdays was like being with family, and I will miss that terribly. And I'll finish with something that I never thought I would say during the four seemingly years of never-ending classes, and that is, I truly don't know what I'm going to do with my nights and weekends from here forward. Thank you.